Hello, everybody. Hello. Down here. Come on in. Those of you who are entering, come on down. There's plenty of room down front. Oh, you are a good group. You quieted down right away. Hi, welcome to the second annual B School Disrupt. On behalf of the teams from Stanford Business School, Harvard Business School, come on, clap for your, and Stern Business School, come on, Sternies. Welcome, we're so happy to see you here. I'm Cynthia Franklin, and I'm Director of Entrepreneurship at the Stern Berkeley Innovations Lab, where I oversee entrepreneurship programs along with my stellar team, Phoebe and Sarah. Wave to the crowd. Essentially what we do at the Innovation Labs is we do our best to keep impressionable young people off the street, and by that we mean Wall Street. And so we do our darndest to have our students use their brilliance for entrepreneurial endeavors, and so that's essentially what we do. I'm not going to spend too much time talking to you about all the wonderful programs and activities and initiatives that we do here at Stern. They're very similar to what goes on at all these other fabulous universities that are here tonight. I will say, though, in this very room, if you felt a little bit of an electrical charge when you came in, it's because in this very spot, hollow ground. 2 weeks ago, we gave away $400,000 to startups. Here at Stern. So we run a variety of programs, including venture competitions, dozens of boot camps, hundreds of hours of coaching, and all kinds of good things. But what we really are setting out to do is to help nurture entrepreneurial talent here at Stern so that they can go forth and launch and lead transformative organizations. And it may be a startup, it may be a Fortune 500 division, it could be a social enterprise, or even go into government, because government really could use some innovation right about now. We don't really care. We're very much agnostic in that regard. But what we are interested in is in being able to facilitate the development of serial innovators. And so that's what we do in this program. We are proud to be among the family of university programs that are fostering entrepreneurship. Quite frankly, our work is very important, not because we just like to pat ourselves on the back, but because the work of the teams that you will meet tonight and their colleagues and their classmates who are pursuing startups is so very, very important. So it's nice to be here and at an event that is fostering entrepreneurship and putting a real spotlight on the talent that's coming out of our universities. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Vicki to come up and say hello, but I just wanted to thank you all for being here tonight and being here to support the next generation of innovators on campus. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. I did feel the electricity when I came in the room. I'm Vivian Moran, and I am the chair of the Harvard Business School Club of New York Alumni Startups Division. I am thrilled to be here tonight with Stanford and with NYU. Thank you to both of you for helping organize this. We are all, at HBS, we're all about entrepreneurship and about fostering entrepreneurship in New York City. So what I would love for you guys to do is check out the HBS CNY programming that we have. that's all about programming for entrepreneurs and founders, not from HBS, but from everywhere. It's about having a really vibrant community in NYC, and as Cynthia mentioned, helping to foster entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs really do change things and do change the world, not only in government, but in other parts of society. So I applaud each and every one of you presenting tonight. There are 9 teams that you are going to see, one more impressive than the next. So let's give them a round of applause. I'm really excited about being here.
I'm going to see if this works. Hi, everybody. My name is Singari Seshadri. I run the Stanford Venture Studio, so here from representing Stanford, the West Coast. So I know all of you are anxious to get to the pitches, so I won't take too long. I just want to echo what my colleagues here have said. We, too, our philosophy at Stanford is also to teach entrepreneurial skills and frameworks to our students that they can take in any career paths that they choose, whether it's the founder route, corporate innovators, or government as well. The Venture Studio is an entrepreneurship program that's open to graduate students from all the schools at Stanford, and we allow them to apply what they learn in the classroom about starting a venture in a safe space where we give them the support and resources they need, such as co-working space, advice and mentorship, and most importantly, a community of like-minded peers and alumni that can support them through their entrepreneurial journey as they evaluate their ventures. And I'm so delighted that we have 3 great venture studio teams representing us here today, and I hope you'll enjoy hearing from them as well as from all the great ventures that are from our partner schools. And I just want to take a moment to thank NYU and HBS for partnering with us. And with that, I am delighted to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Indre Rockefeller. She's co-founder, co-CEO, and creative director of Paravel, a luggage and accessories, travel accessories brand. Indra has had an amazing career in the fashion and retail space with really key roles at firms like Del Pozo, a luxury Spanish fashion brand, Moda Operandi, a multi-brand luxury e-tailer, and at Vogue. I want to let Indre tell her story, but one of the coolest things I think about Indre is that she started her career as a professional ballet dancer. And as someone that also started my career as a classical dancer, and I'm a long way from there today, I'm so excited to hear her story. So thank you, Indre, and welcome.
Hi, everyone. So a wise friend once equated entrepreneurship to the tale of Sisyphus and the boulder he was tasked with continuously pushing up his mountain. I'm here to tell you that that's absolutely true, and that's actually a great thing. 7 years ago, as a first year at Stanford Business School, I stood in front of the GSB community as one of the year's View from the Bottom speakers, a series at the time that featured current students in the GSB community offering insights from their often unusual career paths that had landed them at the GSB. I spoke about following my heart into a career as a professional ballet dancer, interrupting it to get my undergraduate degree at Princeton, then after a brief stint in the art world, fighting to find a path back into professional ballet, a line of work infamously unaccommodating to a 4-year hiatus. When a serious back injury sidelined me indefinitely, I was forced to take stock of what was left of my career and ultimately made the painful decision to hang up my dancing shoes. Finding myself on the open market, career-wise, I did what I do in times of uncertainty. I followed my curiosity, which eventually landed me in a job right out of a movie. I became the first assistant to the editor-in-chief of Vogue, Anna Wintour. To save you time during Q&A, no, I did not throw my phone into a fountain, but it was very much a formative job. I admired Anna's ability to seamlessly blend an eye for design and a head for business, and to use it to shape a $2.4 trillion industry. After working for her for a year, I recognized that this duality was a superpower and one that I could emulate in my own career. I already had an eye for design,
as was evidenced by my sometimes very unwelcome tendency to rearrange friends' furniture at dinner parties. But what I needed was to train my head for business. I began multitasking, secretly studying for the GMAT between fielding requests for fashion industry's biggest powerhouse. I had Post-it notes covered in quadratic equations and formulas for permutations and combinations, which I've thankfully long ago forgotten, around my Vogue desk and snuck in late-night essay writing sessions over takeout. Luckily for me, and for so many people in this room, I had the opportunity to take another left turn in my career and head off to business school. I remember thinking at the time that since so much of my career had been nonlinear and passion-driven, now that I was at business school, of course, my post-MBA career trajectory was going to be organized and straightforward. It would climb up and to the right in a linear manner from here on out. As I stood in front of my peers, delivering my view from the bottom, like so many first-year business school students, I assumed that at this moment in time, I was, in fact, at the very bottom of my career path, and that after graduating, it would be a straight shot to the top. And maybe one day, I would earn the right to deliver the fabled view from the top speech, reserved for those truly outstanding professionals who return to the GSB to dole out morsels of insight from the top of the career food chain. And for a short period of time after graduation, my career did, in fact, have a fast-paced upward trajectory. I moved back to New York and took a senior role at Mode Operandi, a hot startup in the e-tail space, where I oversaw the pre-order side of the business, driving the majority of revenue to the company. From there, I was poached by a Spanish luxury fashion brand to open new offices for them as their U.S. president. I launched new product, opened accounts with prestigious retailers, dressed celebrities, and helped organize one of the hottest shows in New York Fashion Week. I was flying to Madrid for board meetings and to Paris for showroom appointments. Everything was moving up from the bottom. The top, no doubt, would be in sight soon. So, of course, that's right when the entrepreneurship bug hit, and it bit me hard. Enter Paravel. After years spent traveling the world for one company or another, I had become increasingly frustrated by the lack of a cohesive system of travel gear designed for the type of traveler I was, always on the road, seamlessly blending my personal life with my travel life. We've all been there, trying to cover up the evidence of a delayed red eye and a bad Uber driver before an important breakfast meeting. I knew that the fashion industry I had come from offered only one-off products in travel that were often overpriced and under-focused on travelers' needs. On the other end of the spectrum lay a bevy of commoditized, brandless product meant to serve as a means to an end for a traveler, but completely lacking in quality, design, and portability, not to mention being philosophically linked to the experience of storage units and luggage carousels. The result was a massively fragmented $30 billion global market of travel goods where no brand stood for the type of traveler I saw everywhere around me. Young and on the go, valuing quality and design, blending travel seamlessly into their everyday. I watched them and myself turn to 6 different brands, retailers, or sizes of Ziploc containers to put together some semblance of a disjointed travel system. And so, as many entrepreneurs do, my co-founder Andy and I started by asking a question. Why is there no one-stop shop for the young hypermobile traveler? Where is the brand that makes an array of travel gear that combines functionality with design, quality with honest pricing, portability with resilience, and most importantly, that makes packing fun? I knew the markups in luxury fashion could be outlandish, but I also knew that the quality was attainable, and I knew how to find it. I knew I cared an awful lot about design and had the training to tackle this challenge. I knew that bringing joy to travel would be something I could throw myself into. Oh, and I had an MBA. So 2.5 years ago, Andy and I set out to answer these questions ourselves, and 1.5 years ago, we went live on tourparavel.com. In the years since I took the startup plunge, I often think about that time 7 years ago, delivering my speech to a room of my GSB classmates, so certain it was the beginning of my ascent from the bottom. Today, I know that the bottom is a place you never really leave and certainly never forget. It will come as little surprise to those of you who are entrepreneurs in the audience that one of the first rules of entrepreneurship is that every day begins with looking up at the peak of a mountain from somewhere near its bottom, sometimes the very bottom. Even those entrepreneurs who have appeared to have summited their mountaintops will tell you in moments of candor that all they see is the next peak they haven't reached. Especially in those early days, there was no view from the top for me, not even from the middle. And when it felt like there was one coming, it often turned out to be a false peak. Over the last year and a half, as we slowly began making our way up the mountain with successful product launches, sales milestones, and customer acquisition targets hit, with partnership deals inked, celebrity endorsements earned, press hits secure, the path up and to the right, of course, bore and continues to bear no resemblance to a straight line. And it hasn't always been up. As we've often learned, one has to go down to go up. And to make those right turns, we've made many strange left turns first. It occurred to me recently that entrepreneurship has been looking an awful lot like my disjointed, variable, passion-driven professional path that I disavowed 7 years ago. And in fact, I was leaning heavily on it. Ballet gave me a level of discipline and stamina I never thought I would have to call upon again. And that upward trajectory I'd planned for, that was feeling about as linear as a roller coaster. And actually, maybe it's a really old roller coaster, and you're really hoping that it stays on the rails just this one last time. So often, when we hear about or read about entrepreneurs, we only pay attention to their views from the top. The breakout founders of today are portrayed as confident, sometimes even authoritative, uncompromising leaders. Their path to the top of the mountain, as rewritten in history, is portrayed as a self-evident leap from which they never looked back and during which they never faltered. While I know that staying focused on that big, hairy, audacious goal is one of the key responsibilities of a founder, I've learned in speaking with great entrepreneurs that it's the time spent at the bottom that is often the most formative. It's the view from the bottom that gives entrepreneurs the freedom to fail, to change course when needed, to be nimble, creative, and bold. It provides entrepreneurs with that magical balance of being humble and hungry, so we can dream unrealistically big dreams and then pull ourselves up by our bootstraps to go tackle them. When we launched Paravel, it was just Andy and me, a Polish web developer, a 3PL warehouse in New Jersey, and a PR agency in New York. I was co-founder, creative director, co-CEO, and definitely an intern in every department. Andy and I chose to take a lean bootstrap path because that's the business model we believe in, one in which you establish product market fit, profitability, and organic growth through hard work. This approach can have outsized rewards in comparison to some of today's hyper-funded, hyper-diluted startups, but the flip side of that coin is an awful lot of risk. And, as you might guess, an awful lot of time spent at the bottom. Though I can honestly say I wouldn't trade those moments, I'll admit that we've had to lean on tequila on more than one occasion to get through them. Paravel's second launch day was set for November 17th, 2016. Under normal circumstances, I would recommend setting only one launch day, but ours happened to be set for November 8th, which was 2 days after the 2016 election. Needless to say, the tongue-in-cheek "Make Travel Great Again" hats concept was quickly scrapped as the irony had evaporated overnight, and on November 7th, we pushed launch back to ensure the news cycle was clear. Turns out that news cycle never cleared up. So on launch day, take 2, Andy and I headed out for our warehouse in Bergen, New Jersey, armed with a stack of 100 Paravel note cards. We had decided to write a personal thank you note to each of our first 100 customers and planned to drop the first batch in ourselves. We assumed that these cards would last about a month. The day began early, and as the first order started rolling in, we alternated between sitting on the drafty warehouse floor, writing to each customer, and helping the packing team handle the unexpected surge in volume. This mostly involved me micromanaging the team because you can't imagine how many ways you can place tissue paper in a shipping box that is quite unsightly. We even shipped out our very first box together, as evidenced by this photo of the two of us with prominent bags under our eyes, but we both held on to each side and sent it off on the conveyor belt. The Wall Street Journal had run a small piece online, and we were waiting to see what would happen with the remainder of the potential press hits. A few hours later, we got an excited call from our PR agency, informing us that Vogue had posted a large piece about our launch, Wall Street Journal was going to print with our story, and we should expect to see Condé Nast Traveler, Travel and Leisure, The Observer, InStyle, Marie Claire, Allure, Vanity Fair, all writing stories about us imminently. Oh, and they were being inbounded with requests from influencers, celebrity editors. Did we have any extra stock? Andy and I hung up the phone and didn't say anything. We stared down at our pile of cards, and suddenly one of us realized we were almost out of them. That's when we started cheering. In the end, instead of a month as expected, it had taken us 24 hours to make our way through our first 100 orders and cards. Now that Paravel's more than just Andy, a Polish developer, a warehouse, and me, every month we sit down for brainstorming sessions with each of our team's working groups to understand what the biggest challenges and biggest dreams are in each vertical. It allows us to keep our eye on the top but make sure we have our feet planted firmly on the bottom. Now, trust me, there continue to be plenty of moments in which we are reminded just how close to the bottom we are. We've made the wrong hires in moments of desperation. I've been told, twice actually, while fundraising 8 months pregnant, this was no time for me to be starting a company. And don't even get me started on the balancing of motherhood and entrepreneurship. I think that includes an entire separate view from the bottom and upside down. And we've experienced every iteration of factories overpromising and under-delivering. In fact, we once threatened to drive to JFK at 1 o'clock in the morning to retrieve our product from the clutches of customs, and that was one of our tequila moments. But for every experience like that, we've had unexpected triumphs. A waitlist for a product hundreds of people deep developed in a matter of hours. Katy Perry somehow showed up to meet the Pope, mobbed by paparazzi with swinging one of our bags on her shoulder. And the holy grail of amazing moments, seeing a complete stranger carry a Paravel bag through the streets. The first time I spotted Paravel in the wild, I awkwardly followed the person for 4 blocks taking photos. True story. I never worked up the courage to tell the woman why I was following her, but I'm fairly certain there's a restraining order out there on me somewhere. So I'm here to tell you, as someone who is still very much every day at the bottom of my mountain, that it's such an exciting place to be. I hope to always be able to see the world from here, no matter where this journey takes me, though I'm no longer fixated on what path that journey takes. At heart, I will always be sitting on the floor of a warehouse in New Jersey writing effusive thank you notes for our customers along the way. I did come here to tell you it's not easy. I did not come here to tell you it's easy. Let me correct myself. Nor did I come here to tell you what it's like at the top. The reality is there is no top. Now, of course, if in 10 years I'm standing here telling you there's a top and I know what it looks like, let's just pretend we never had this conversation. But in the meantime, the sooner we all learn to enjoy the view from the bottom, the more wildly exciting things we will be able to accomplish on the way up. And let's never stop climbing. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to B-School Disrupt NYC. I'm so excited to be your keynote here today. So this is the second annual B-School Disrupt NYC event after the huge success in 2017, so we're thrilled to be here. This event is really intended to connect entrepreneurs, investors, and entrepreneurship fans from all these wonderful communities. And it's the most important thing to note is this is a showcase and not a competition. That it is inspired by the TechCrunch Disrupt. And it's a rule of 3, that there are 3 schools, 3 teams from each school, and each gets about 3 minutes. And there's a buzzer involved, and they won't be afraid to use it. So we will try to keep everyone on schedule. The first thing to note for all of you is that we will be looking for your participation today. So there is some instructions for you to pull out your phones and your computers. Now you are allowed to do so. And enter in slido.com and enter BSD. And this will allow you to ask questions of the pitching teams and to be an active participant in today's event. And we are going to start by doing a warm-up poll to get everyone really excited and involved. I am not responsible for these questions, but I appreciate them nonetheless. So I will give everyone a few seconds to input their response. This is actually interesting. What's that? BSD. BSD. I think the gong should be getting more attention, but that's just me. Okay, so first up, parents and teachers of preschoolers, listen up. This startup will make you want your kids to be on a device. From Cognitive Toybox, let's welcome Tammy.
I'm Tammy Kwan, co-founder and CEO of Cognitive Toybox. We are an early childhood platform for kindergarten readiness. Children from low-income households hear 30 million fewer words compared to their higher-income peers. By 18 months of age, low-income children are already 6 months behind. Most children who start kindergarten behind will never catch up. Our team of scientists and technologists are at the forefront of cognitive science. We've received grant funding from the National Science Foundation, the Robin Hood Foundation, and New Schools Venture Fund, and we have 3 efficacy studies underway. So what are we studying? Games, cognitive games, to learn language and math. Let me give you an example now. Suppose I told you that this object up above is called a DAX. And I asked you which of the 2 objects below is another DAX. Most adults will pick B because they've acquired something called the shape bias. And that's the idea that 2 objects of the same name tend to have the same shape, as opposed to color, texture, or something else. Children use the shape bias to learn new vocabulary words, and research has shown that guiding children towards the shape bias earlier can accelerate their vocabulary acquisition by 300% over a 2-month period. Moreover, children with specific language impairment have a weaker shape bias, and providing interventions could be impactful. So how do we ensure that we get the right interventions to the right students? Assessments, cognitive assessments. But current early assessment methodologies take hours of teacher time. That's why, in addition to interventions, we also develop cognitive assessment games. Teachers let kids play for 5 minutes, and they get all the data they need to diagnose issues and intervene where needed. Cognitive Toybox aspires to be the largest provider of developmental data to schools. Our subscription model is $40 per student for assessments and interventions. With 12 million children enrolled in early childhood organizations in the US, with 12 million children under the age of 5 enrolled in over 700,000 early childhood organizations in the US, this represents a $500 million opportunity. And hopefully, someday, the other 8 million children who aren't enrolled in any programs at all will have more options too. To date, we've received $345,000 in grant funding. We also have 3 efficacy studies underway at Stanford, UPenn, and Indiana, and over 100 students in a new pilot with New York City Pre-K. Our team of game designers, developers, and entrepreneurs has the unique skills to build games to improve early education. We're currently raising our pre-seed round and are looking for 1 additional early partner to come on board. Please come talk to me if you're interested in learning more. Thank you.
So we're about to get the first question. How do you deal with bilingual children?
Yeah, so we support for English language learners, we have the assessments and interventions in multiple languages as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Just one question for our team. Thank you. So these recent grads from Stanford GSB are leveraging technology to disrupt the real estate market by removing brokers and creating a direct connection. Let's welcome Tom and Cyril from Landis.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. This is Cyril. Like many of you, we have MBAs, which means we don't know anything about anything. But we've got a really great presentation.
So we're Landis. We're in real estate tech. And what we are is a platform or a marketplace for portfolios of single-family homes. I come from real estate. I've started 2 real estate funds. I was at a real estate and venture capital firm for a couple of years. I love real estate tech. That's my life. And this is Tom. He's a data scientist and mathematician by training. He has applied a lot of technology to different businesses and industries. and he worked at HelloFresh and Airbnb.
So what do? We help large institutional investors who own thousands of homes by connecting them with sellers across the US to help them build their portfolio. And we do this in 3 ways. Number one, we're building the largest database of real estate information in the country. Number two, we are leveraging that data to predict when houses are going to be put up for sale 4 months before anyone else. And number three, we match those houses using a proprietary matching algorithm to the investors who are most likely to buy them.
The reason that's really awesome is because currently in the industry, investors have a 0.5% conversion rate when it comes to closing on the deals they look at. With Lendis, our investors have 50% conversion rate. That's 100x better than the industry standard. Using that number, we recently raised a seed round of financing of $2 million from really good VCs on both the East Coast and the West Coast, and angels from the real estate tech sector.
So it's good that we're not asking for money today because only 10% of you, according to the poll that we saw earlier, actually have money that you want to give away. What we do have is a really important ask. We're building the best real estate tech team in the country. We're hiring on the business side, we're hiring on the tech side, and we want your help. If you know anyone who is incredibly smart, incredibly fun, and most importantly, who's not an asshole, we would love to be in touch with them. So we have 30 seconds remaining, and we actually would love for you to take your phone, think about anyone in your network, and introduce them. So my email is tom@hellolandis.com, and you can do this right now.
We'll wait until the gong, by the way.
Thank you.
That was for the gong lovers. So will homeowners eventually be able to sell their property on your platform? How are investors vetted?
So we're a B2B platform, which means our sellers are also investors. Our buyers are very large investors. The way we vet our buyers is they need to have at least 1,000 properties in their portfolio, so they tend to be billion-dollar funds. If they're smaller right now, we do not accept them on the platform. On the homeowner side, no. We're B2B. We will stay B2B. Our next expansion will be from single-family homes to multifamily homes. We do not want to be dealing with retail investors or mom-and-pop investors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are a couple of subway stops from Wall Street, which I think we're all trying to avoid. And that's our next presenter's target market. Let's welcome George from Magma Trading.
Thank you for that introduction. My name is George Hessler. I'm CEO of Magma Trading. And we are a new kind of stock market for very large trades. The joke around our organization is that, several of us came from another company called Lava Trading. And once upon a time, Lava Trading was the first aggregator or sweep technology on Wall Street to do big trades. And we said, this is even bigger, so we're going to call it Magma. But Lava was no slouch. Lava actually captured over 10% of the stock market volume through our little company of about 100 people. And we sold our company to Citigroup for $365 million. Now, I'm going to try to tell you why this is an even better idea than Lava was. Now, Magma was really started to solve a major problem that's come up in the stock market. There is no wholesale market in stocks. I can't think of another industry like that. All the trades are done in very small fashion electronically. It's sort of like if you were to go to a bank and you wanted to do something simple like take out some money, you go to a machine, right? So you take out your $200, $300, you're all set. If you have something complicated like a signature guarantee or something, you need a person for that. Well, that's how Wall Street was. You would have a big complicated transaction. You're trading with big institutional investors maybe as a big broker. And you'd go to a trader that would make you a market for a very large size. But then things changed on Wall Street. We basically got rid of all the humans. And so it became impossible to trade in large size. In fact, today what they do is they put these big trades into computers and slice and dice them and trade in very small size. The average trade size on the New York Stock Exchange is under 200 shares. Now that's a real problem if you're trying to trade 200,000 shares if you're Vanguard or Fidelity. For us, it's fine. You trade 200 shares, you trade it with a computer, you're fine. But that's a real problem in the institutional market for Wall Street. So we're trying to solve that. Essentially, we're the first wholesale market, kind of like a Costco for stocks. And the idea here is that we can aggregate all the liquidity at all of the exchanges into Magma. We're kind of like a roll-up of all the different exchanges into one big wholesale stock market. And if that works, and we think it will, everyone benefits from it. Brokers will benefit from it. The exchanges themselves will get more stuff traded in large size. It's actually wonderful for people like institutional investors that need to trade a lot. Stock market is enormous. 7 billion shares a day, 1.75 trillion shares a year. It's a $50 trillion market. We think our approachable market or our addressable market is about $3 billion at the amount that we're charging. We think in the first year we can achieve somewhere around 6 times break even. We've already signed up 5 of the top 10 market makers. And we just started with our first trade today. Believe it or not, we believe in 3 years, if things work out, we'll be a unicorn. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
So we're going to give everyone a few minutes to input their questions. We realize that we've been really jumping the gun there with those questions. If people are also free to submit them during the pitches, but we will give just a few minutes for everyone to input before it pops up.
Okay, the question is about dark pools. So if you look at the stock market I mentioned is an average trade size of under 200 shares. Dark pools were originally conceived of as an idea to solve the problem and to trade in larger size. Unfortunately, that's completely failed. They're structured the same way as lit pools, and when computers are talking to other computers, they actually don't look at screens. So the average trade size in dark pools today is just a smidge over 200 shares per trade. So obviously, again, if you're trying to trade 200,000 shares, it's just not going to do it for you. Magma is a completely different way to trade. It's actually a new kind of negotiation between the computers so they can confirm large transactions. And so they're set up, while we're approved by the SEC as a separate alternative trading system, we're set up with a completely different structure in terms of settling each trade. So that's why it's different. Thank you.
So next pitch, we're going to hear from a company that is a valuable tool for video publishers and apparently practically pays for itself. Let's hear from Seth from SubClipper.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Seth Squadron, co-founder of SubClipper. SubClipper is an audience extension tool for publishers seeking to monetize video assets. James Jackson, my co-founder, and I lead a dynamic team with deep experience in publishing, ad tech, media, and marketing. We've been involved in a few startup successful exits, including Comixology. Like us, they began as a small company that won the NYU Entrepreneurs Challenge. Since our win in that competition, we've built the SubClipper technology to address a very big opportunity, helping publishers with video content. So video has become a bit of a monster for publishers. On one hand, you have a lot of user demand for engaging video, and publishers get paid some of the highest CPMs for video, but it's also the highest cost content to produce. We know this because we've worked with a lot of these publishers, and we've seen up close the desperation that they have to maximize the value of every video asset. Video views drive the publisher's bottom line, but they literally can't produce video fast enough and cheaply enough to meet the market demand. SubClipper solves this problem by allowing users to curate and share existing video assets, driving more video views back to the publisher at near zero cost. No other solution does this. With SubClipper, publishers' video inventory goes from this to this. And the best part is the new versions of the video are curated and targeted, so they're more relevant and engaging for each user. We get paid on the revenue lift that the publisher enjoys, so there's almost no risk in terms of doing an integration. Publishing is a lucrative first market for us, and we have a host of ways to enhance our embeddable platform for publishers and users while driving additional revenue. We have detailed analytics about the particular users. We have white labeling so that you can match the look and feel of any particular site. We can integrate with the CMS so that they can do back-end editorial content creation. And we have a browser extension so that influencers can create subclips directly on YouTube. We believe that in 5 years, SubClipper's technology will be ubiquitous. Just as Twitter invented microblogging, subclipping will become the dominant format for curating and sharing shortened video. James and I will be outside after the pitches and are happy to demo the technology for you, show you exactly how it works, and answer any questions. And if you know of a publisher that has embedded video, please introduce them to us so that we can help them maximize their video value. Thanks so much. Can I do that? Okay, so for the viewers, they get shortened content. Any sharee is going to see video that is more relevant for them. So if you have a 10-minute video and 30 seconds is really relevant, you're going to get that 30 seconds, and that's the important part. And so we think there's a lot of value for viewers and for the curators. Okay, thanks so much.
So I think it's become pretty clear that I'm a useless middleman when it comes to reading the questions to everyone, so I'm going to just go ahead and stick to the introductions. And as a woman standing here in heels, I am very curious about the next pitch. Let's welcome Samantha from Ally Shoes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Dong. I'm the founder of Ally Shoes. We make high-performance heels for high-achieving women. I started this brand out of personal frustration. As a former management consultant, I loved wearing heels. But at the same time, every time I wear heels, I'm constantly presented with this one dilemma. Do I pick the beautiful ones that hurt my feet, or do I go with the comfort ones and sacrifice style? Perhaps it's time to ask a different question. Why not both? Or rather, in a world where women have been trying to do it all and be it all, how come we're still compromising? With that in mind, I started working on this idea in business school, talked to hundreds of women, learned shoemaking, and moved to New York after graduation to form my team. I know in order to create a groundbreaking product, I needed two things in my team. Number one, I needed expertise from different disciplinaries. So that's why we have Dr. Clark, who's a foot and ankle surgeon, Sarah, who's a former designer from Easy, and our advisor, Jeff, is a former innovation director from Koha and Nike. Secondly, I know it's important that our brand and team is made by women for women. So we're not only bringing professional experience, but we're also bringing personal experience to build the product we always wanted. So how are we different? We're delivering on all three fronts of elegance, performance, and fit. We decided to tackle the pointed-toe stiletto, which is this classic design everyone loves, but the most difficult one to tackle for comfort. That's our baseline. Without changing the look, we looked into science and different practices around sneaker making to really re-engineering the internal structure.
We're using adaptable, stretchy leather so it conforms to your feet throughout the day. We also redesigned an ergonomic three-point supporting system in the insole so it rebalances the weight. We're also looking into using data to guarantee the perfect fit. So people fill out a simple questionnaire or use a fitting kit to give us data, and we have granular fit sizing, and we're going to match and predict based on the data they provide to us. So we spent about 6 months on product iteration, filed our patent, and launched our first collection of the Little Black Heel. In the past couple months, we got glorious reviews from both early adopters and media. And in the next 3 months, we're launching a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo for 5 to 6 shades of nude colors, and going to start testing different marketing channels. So our ask today is for you to spread the word. If you're interested in hearing more about us, please sign up for the email list. And for the ladies in the room, I have some popular sizes, so if you want to try them on later, come find me. Where do I start? I think there is this tension still when we're doing the design between kind of the elegance, the look, and the comfort. And there are a lot of decisions that we make, a lot of times leaning towards one direction versus the other. Ultimately, what we found, which was very helpful in helping us making the decisions, is have real people try them on and give us feedback. So that's how we would try out like 10 different combinations of ideas, and we would have people take a look and let us know, and give them for a week to try them on, and that's how we kind of make those decisions. But that's probably the toughest part. You kind of have to make those compromises. But I think we did a pretty good job on that.
Thank you. So our next company is founded by parents, another great solution to help kids reach their full potential. We will hear from Nancy at Mindprint Learning.
Hi, I'm Nancy Weinstein. I'm the founder and CEO of Mindprint Learning. We like to say great minds don't think alike, and I imagine the many great minds in this room would agree. And yet, when we walk into a K-12 classroom, we treat all students as if all their minds work alike. And as a result, our students are not succeeding in school. But Mindprint has a solution to this problem. We help schools understand how children learn, whether their visual skills are better than their verbal skills, whether their memory is better than their reasoning, whether they just need more time or they really need something else. We're able to do this because we have exclusive rights to a 1-hour online assessment developed by neuroscientists at the Brain Behavior Lab of Penn Medicine. They developed it in collaboration with the National Institutes of Mental Health. We can accurately, affordably, and efficiently identify how every student learns best, so teachers know how to support students when they need it. And if you don't believe me that it works, you can call up NASA and ask them, because they use it with their astronauts to measure brain development in space. So let me give you an example of how it would work. In a K-5 classroom, we typically test students 3 times a year. We test them on their reading comprehension, and if they're not learning, we pull them out, we put them in a small group, and we teach them all exactly the same way what we did before. It's just not a large group. With Mindprint, we understand, is the problem their attention? And we can teach them one way. If the problem is their reasoning, another way. And if the problem is their memory, another way. So every student can learn more easily and effectively. We can do this not only with reading comprehension, we can do it with math, we can do it with social emotional learning. We can help students identify what the right college major is and perhaps what the right college choice is. Mindprint is a K-12 solution, but don't think of it that way. Think of it as a data interpretation engine. We can overlay our data on any other data that's out there so teachers can more accurately make sense of that mass of data they have on every student so they understand why a student isn't learning. And then with our interpretation and recommendation engine, They can understand what to do, how to support that student who is struggling. And perhaps most powerful of all, we have the capability to identify those students who are doing just fine but are at risk of struggling later, so we can put the supports in place for them before they fail. In short, we are an online proprietary solution. We change students' lives. We give students the gift, the greatest gift you can give anyone, which is the gift of how you learn. And so my ask for you is that if you have a student in your life that you want to support, you come and find me. If you are a parent and have a child in school, tell your principal, because we want to make sure that every child has the gift of a mind print. Thank you. So the question is that schools generally teach to the test, and why would schools change? So first of all, I'd like to say that nobody goes into education because they want to hurt children, okay? It just doesn't happen. Everybody wants to help, but maybe over time it gets kind of difficult. That said, we know that schools are incentivized now. They have to bring up those test scores, and after all those years of No Child Left Behind and standardized tests, they've plateaued. More typical standardized tests are not going to move the needle. We've plateaued. This is a way for them to actually be able to move the needle, because when you understand how a student learns, the tools are very clear the tools are very clear how to support them and how to help them succeed. Okay.
All right. Next, we're going to hear about a breakthrough healthcare innovation. Eugene, know you.
Hi, my name is Eugene. I'm the founder of Know You. It's a microbiome R&D company located out here in Union Square. We're focused on developing tests for chronic conditions, and we're focused on nutrition. It's one of the focuses. So a lot of people don't know this, but in you and sort of around here, like everywhere in the auditorium, there's trillions of microbes. These are associated with disease, sometimes different health states. What's really exciting is over the last couple of years, there's been thousands of articles written on microbiome research. It's actually grown. There's tens of thousands now. And these are associated with implications in agriculture, human health, chronic diseases. And what's really interesting is there's been new science showing, like, if you track your microbiome through life, it changes. As you age, your microbiome changes. When you have certain events, such as like antibiotic treatments or various chronic conditions, you can actually see the effect on the composition in your microbiome. And so this is actually quite interesting because there's a lot of chronic conditions ranging from IBD, coronary artery disease, hypertension, autoimmune conditions, neurodegenerative conditions like autism, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. I mean, the list just goes on, which show there is an association with your microbiome. And I mean, this is going to continue rising, right? It's 171 million by 2030. So I think this is a really big problem to be solving, but the issue is how do you build a scalable way to really, start tackling this issue, and this is something that we're essentially working on. One other thing that I wanted to mention, too, this is a nutrition component. One of the founders of the Human Microbiome Project, Rob Knight, also noted, which I found to be mind-blowing, this was a year or two ago, was that plants actually had a huge impact on your microbiome and making a shift to a more healthy disease state. So I know, you wouldn't necessarily think that, but, no, I mean, most people would think that, right? So one of the things is how do you actually quantify that? And that's something that we're doing. So we're a really great R&D team building out classifiers for one's microbiome for all these different diseases, being able to track somebody over time, but also intervene with dietary interventions. We're 10 employees. The team is all subject matter experts. We probably have the best microbiome R&D team in New York. I can confidently say that. We have sample commitments. We're venture funded. And we're going to have a product launch in September. We also won the NYU Business Plan competition a while back. My two asks is, one, if anybody's looking for a BD internship, please reach out to me afterwards. And then also, if anybody is interested in taking this test when we launch, please let me know as well. I'll be outside. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is very simple. So there's two ways. This is very simple. One, we would charge for every single test. So various price points could range between $80 to $100. There's other ways you can monetize it in terms of the data. If you think about it, we're not trying to be simply a testing company. This is a pure data play. And so there's other ways, we can monetize it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Rich from Trove, let's hear about fashion at your fingertips.
Testing. Can everybody hear me? All right. I'm Rich Scudolari, co-founder of Trove, and we're indexing the world's style content and making it shoppable everywhere. Over the last 5 years, there's been a dramatic shift in the shopping paradigm. Consumers are no longer shopping for products. They're shopping for products in the context of outfits. Content has really become the focal point of the shopping process. And this is not an abstract anecdote that we're kind of pulling out of thin air. This actually impacts the bottom line. Consumers are 3 times more likely to buy a product that they've seen on a real person in a real life setting than they are just a product shot on a white background. And it's given rise to this really interesting group of independent content creators, these influencers who are creating content for brands and retailers that's much more effective, much more engaging, and drives a much higher ROI than anything on the branded content side. But obviously, there are issues. First of all, fragmentation. So much content across so many platforms. As a consumer, where do I even start? And second of all, when I find something that I'm excited about, how do I get to checkout? Right? We all know that getting a consumer to do one thing is hard enough. Getting them to complete a 10-step process across 3 different platforms, it's impossible. And that's where Trove comes in. We take the consumer from this really aggravating, chaotic, complex world of shopping and create an ideal experience. We allow them to glide seamlessly from inspiration to checkout and back and forth. We really bring the fun and excitement back to shopping. And we do this in 3 ways. First, we spent the better part of 2 years building a massive system that ingests, organizes, and indexes all of this content from these influencers. It really creates structure and order out of chaos. The second thing we do is we distribute it to our own proprietary consumer platforms and to B2B partners. Right now on the consumer side, we have a mobile app, we're launching a web-based search engine, and we have some amazing AR technology that's coming out. And on the B2B side, our thought is this content should be available to consumers wherever they are in the shopping journey, not just on Trove sites. The last thing is measurement. ROI is the name of the game. Brands and retailers need to understand where their marketing dollars are going and how much they're making off of it. So far, the reaction that we've gotten from consumers and the numbers that we're seeing are incredible. Conversion rates through the roof, average order values really high, and we've been embraced by the fashion industry, which is exciting because sometimes they can be a little slow-moving, really putting us in great company. We have a wonderful team. I'd love to talk more about them, some amazing advisors. So if you have some time afterwards, I'd love to share a little bit more about that. And our ask is we're closing out our first round of funding, led by Gary Wassner, a linchpin in the fashion community here. And we're going to do 3 things. We're going to take advantage of the business B2B opportunities that we have. We're going to grow like crazy, and we're going to monetize. Very simple. So again, I'm Rich with Trove. Happy to take the questions now. So we get this question all the time. Pinterest and Instagram are really general social platforms, first of all. The intent when you go to Pinterest or Instagram is to consume content, right? The intent isn't to shop necessarily, right? When I'm on Instagram, I'm looking at my friends' photos, celebrities' photos, whatever. There may be a serendipitous moment where you can buy something, but really what it is, it's an annoyance. It's taking you away from your original intent. And so we've seen every platform, every social platform over the course of time try to add a buy button of some sort, right? Facebook did it in the early days. Twitter tried it. Pinterest tried it. That's not, it hasn't worked out. Instagram's trying it now, but unfortunately, early indications are it's not doing as well as they would have liked. And so what we've done is on our platform, consumers already have intent. They're there to shop. They're looking for something, or they're casually browsing with the anticipation of buying something. So it's built in. And that's why we can drive conversion rates that are 5 times what you're going to find on Instagram. And that's why we can drive average order values that are 50% higher than any of these other digital platforms. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so for our final pitch, we're going to hear about a new kind of assistant from Charlie at Indra Robotics.
How you guys doing? So I am Charlie Anderson, and we are Indra Robotics. Thank you so much for having us out here tonight. So today, farmers are literally running out of people. Over the past decade, we lost about 20% of our farm workforce in the U.S. And as a result, if you talk with nearly any farmer today, they will scream at you that they can't find people to work. Our mission is to solve this labor problem by making small robots like Wally a reality on farms. But to do this, we're starting first with a simple solution to a big problem, and we're taking a stepped approach. And the problem we have in mind is it's almost a study in contrast. When you get inside or indoors in a lot of warehouses, oftentimes they actually will have robots that rove out the shelves, pick the shelves up, and then bring them to people working. So nobody's wasting time and energy running stuff back and forth. But when you get outdoors in agriculture, there are all sorts of situations where people will do a high dexterity task and then waste a lot of time and energy running stuff back and forth. And just to give you an example of what this actually looks like, here you see a hand harvesting operation. Today in the U.S., about half of U.S. fruit acreage is actually picked by hand. And in a lot of these settings, people spend 20 to 30% of their day running stuff around. So to solve this problem of wasted time and wasted energy, we are developing something that we call Burrow. And this is an early prototype. We have a better one coming. But what it is a robotic cart that can follow you like a dog. And as it follows you, it's also able to record the path you have traveled, which it can then retrace. So it can function as a virtual conveyor belt from where you might be working to where material is being collected or distributed. And as you look at this machine, it is fully autonomous. It has a lot of the same sensors that are built into self-driving cars. We think it's an incredible platform. We can start in material handling and later do quite a bit more. And to build this, we've assembled an incredible team that hails from companies including Case New Holland, which is John Deere's largest competitor, and SpaceX, and schools including Oxford, Princeton, Harvard Business School, and University of Pennsylvania. And we've assembled this team in pursuit of a large opportunity. Today, agricultural robotics are pretty much non-existent, but over the next decade, they're supposed to grow to nearly $1 billion opportunity. We see that growth happening quickly and want to drive it. And on that note, over the past 12 months, we've gone from an idea to a prototype that's nearly field test ready. Along the way, we've discovered large customer interest. Today, Driscoll's has actually agreed to run a prepaid pilot with us this summer. We're also part of Thrive, which is the top ag tech accelerator in the U.S. Their program culminates in the Forbes Ag Tech Summit at the end of June, and we'll be showcasing a new unit there. So with that in mind, we are Indra Robotics. John Deere started with a labor-saving plow. We are starting with a labor-saving robotic platform and a mission to make small robots like Wally a reality on farms. We are fundraising, so if that gets you excited, come find me. Thank you. So I think this relates a little bit to IP. So Deere bought Blue River Technology this past year, which was a company that had it was a system that does see and spray, so it can recognize weed versus plant and then selectively treat them. They had a total of 3 patents, which they formulated over the course of about 5 or 6 years, all of them related to mechanical subsystems and had nothing to do with the actual code of behavior. So what we have observed is that in this particular space, It's pretty hard for some of these larger guys to replicate some of the algorithms that we're developing. It's just not in their wheelhouse. And I'm saying that having spent about 4 years working for Case New Holland, which is John Deere's largest competitor.
Okay, so let's give another round of applause to all our entrepreneurs. That was wonderful. So we all come here from different backgrounds, different schools, different interests, but we all have a combined passion for entrepreneurship and a desire to change the world. So with that spirit, let's all head out for drinks and visit our pitch teams and see what we can do to help them along their entrepreneurial journey. And thank you so much for coming today.